You ever open a bottle of wine and realize you're the only one confused about where it came from? Yeah, that's how this all started. It was a Tuesday, a boring, soggy Tuesday where the highlight of my day was beating traffic by one green light. I get home, throw my boots by the door, and there it is, a bottle of Pinot that cost more than our monthly car insurance, chilling on the counter like it paid rent. My wife, Cara, is standing there like it's no big deal, swirling the glass and humming like she's in a damn perfume commercial. From work, she says, waving it off. Client gift. Now, let me paint the picture here. Cara works at a local marketing firm. Not Mad Men. Not Vogue. We're talking paper flyers for realtors and social media calendars for HVAC guys. These people don't hand out $90 bottles of French poetry. They hand out branded coffee mugs. So yeah, that was clue number one. I didn't say anything. Just nodded, grabbed a beer, and mentally filed it under weird, but maybe. The second bottle showed up a week later. Then another. At one point, we had more wine than we had room in the fridge. And every time, it was just a client thing. Always vague. Always fancy. Always on a day I wasn't home. Now look, I'm not the paranoid type. I'm the guy who didn't know we had a Nest thermostat for a year because Cara set it up and I thought the wall just had a light-up decoration. But even I started side-eyeing this work, wine. Then came the tote bag. She left it in the front seat of her car. Normally, I don't dig through my wife's stuff. I'm lazy, not suspicious. But that morning, I needed gum, and her purse was a war zone, so I went for the backup. Unzipped the side pocket of her work tote, and boom, there it was. A phone case. Not her current one. She had a glittery pink case with a pop socket shaped like a pineapple. This one? Matte black. Basic. Same phone model. Same shape. No pineapple. Just a perfectly boring decoy. And here's the kicker. When I checked her real phone later that night, it had exactly 0 texts, emails, or calls after 6 p.m. The night before, she told me she was working late from home. Working? Huh? That's when I stopped being lazy. I didn't say anything right away. I just watched, took mental notes. Like I was binge-watching a mystery show where the twist was going to piss me off. She got sloppier. Her smiles were rehearsed. Her excuses were laminated. One night, she laughed too hard at a text and locked her screen before I could glance over. Another night, she asked if I'd ever be up for moving out of state. You know, for a new opportunity. Opportunity, my ass. At this point, I didn't need hard proof. I needed the why. And maybe, just maybe, the who. So when Cara mentioned the upcoming company barbecue, something she always skipped, and said she actually wanted to go this year, I smiled, nodded, and that's when I started planning the real investigation. I've never been the type to volunteer for work parties. Last time I did, I spent 3 hours in a folding chair listening to Gary from accounting explain cryptocurrency like he was trying to sell me a cult membership. But this time I couldn't RSVP fast enough. Cara was a little too excited that I agreed to come. Said it'd be good for me to get out more. Translation, she wanted me in the crowd, not sniffing around at home. Cute. The company barbecue was held at her boss's house, a guy I'd heard about but never met. Richard something. Rich, for short, because of course that's his name. The man owns a house that could be featured in those fake real estate YouTube walkthroughs. Pool, outdoor bar, speakers in the trees. Guy even had a separate patio just for dogs. I'm not kidding. A whole bark-angle setup. When we arrived, Cara suddenly turned into a political candidate. Smiling wide, shaking hands, introducing me with just a touch too much energy. This is Dean, she chirped, like I was her favorite intern. He's in contracting. Like, what stuff? What stuff? Thanks, babe. I played along. Nodded. Made jokes. Acted dumber than I was. It's amazing how much people will spill when they think you're just some blue-collar guy with drywall dust in his brain. Cara drifted off to chat with her marketing coven, leaving me to explore the crowd. That's when I met him. Rich. He had the kind of tan that only comes from weekday golf. Mid-40s, expensive haircut, open shirt showing just enough chest to say divorced, but trying. He wore designer sunglasses and called everyone buddy, even women. When he found out I was Cara's husband, he lit up like a lawn ornament. Oh man, love your wife. She's sharp. Real asset to the team. I bet. He offered me a drink from the cooler, not the one everyone else was using, but a smaller Yeti tucked behind the bar. Try this, he said, pulling out a bottle with a wax seal. Private label stuff. You like wine? I held it in my hand, turned it slightly, and nearly laughed. It was the same bottle Cara brought home 2 weeks ago. Same label. Same year. Same everything. Yeah, I said, twisting off the cap of my beer. Big fan. We chatted a bit more. I asked about the company, how long he'd been running it, where he sourced his clients. He answered like he was being interviewed for a reality show. All confidence, no filter. You gotta take care of the people who take care of you, he said, flashing me a smile that was probably whitened by lasers. Some of these women, marketing girls, they don't get enough appreciation. I try to change that. After 20 minutes of pretending to care about brand positioning and market heat mapping, I took a stroll around the property. Noticed a few things. Cara wasn't with her usual work friends. She was with him. Rich. Again. Standing too close. Laughing too hard. Touching his arm in that polite, harmless way that isn't polite or harmless. At one point, she brushed something off his shoulder. Like he had lint. Please. The man probably pays someone to remove lint before he leaves the house. When she saw me watching, she jolted a little, like she forgot I existed. Came trotting over all smiles and fake enthusiasm. Having fun? She asked, looping her arm through mine like it was prom night. Oh, tons, I said. Your boss is quite the host. She laughed. Said something about how he always goes overboard. Then offered to show me the inside of the house, because apparently the man's kitchen island was insane. I declined. Told her I wanted to get to know her coworkers better. Which I did. And that's where things got fun. I found one of the interns, kid named Kyle, fresh out of college, running the AV setup for an upcoming live stream event. Apparently the company was launching a new ad campaign, and they'd be showcasing a behind-the-scenes shoot during a client webinar. I asked him if Cara was involved in that project. He hesitated. Kind of. She's, featured in it. Featured. My wife. The woman who told me she hated being on camera. The woman who never wanted to do video calls. Suddenly a star in the corporate highlight reel? I asked if the event was public. He said parts of it would be streamed during the monthly investor call, which just happened to be next Friday. Online. Recorded. Archived. Bingo. Now all I needed was a reason to watch. Back home that night, Cara was extra cuddly. Poured herself a glass of mystery wine and plopped on the couch like she didn't just spend the afternoon pawing her boss in broad daylight. You seem to hit it off with Rich, she said, curling her legs under a blanket. Oh yeah, I replied. He's generous. She smiled at that. Tucked hair behind her ear. Didn't even ask how I knew. I waited for her to fall asleep before I started digging. Went through our email inbox for her company. She used our shared Gmail for client reminders. Found the name of the event. Behind the brand. Inside the creative room. Cheesy. Also perfect. I signed up using a dummy email and waited for the confirmation. It came with a countdown link, a calendar invite, and a note that the footage would be simulcast on their YouTube channel, complete with live chat. Even better. For the next few days, I played the role of doting husband. Cleaned up, cooked dinner, asked about her work schedule. She told me she might be traveling next week, quick day trip for a client. Gave me the city name like she pulled it from a hat. I nodded. Told her to take pictures. She laughed. What, you don't trust me? I smiled. Of course I do. But I didn't. And I had a feeling I was going to be real glad I didn't. Because come Friday, the show was going live. And I had a front row seat. I don't usually dress up to sit at home alone, but that Friday I ironed a shirt. That's how you know things were serious. Cara left around 7:30 a.m. with her usual pretend hustle energy, all ponytail and, I might be late, don't wait up. She kissed me on the cheek like a politician on campaign day and jogged to her car in heels that didn't match her outfit. I stood in the window sipping coffee like a retired detective, watching her pull away in a car full of secrets. The client event was set to stream at 11 a.m. sharp, and I had popcorn ready by 10. For morale. I logged in through the fake email I'd created, DerekB.ClientStrategy22@Outlook, because I figured nothing screams corporate like a guy named Derek who believes in synergy. The waiting screen had some overly cheerful elevator music playing and a slideshow of smiling employees holding coffee mugs and standing next to whiteboards. All fake enthusiasm and strategic lighting. My wife's company really did know how to sell the illusion. Then the screen shifted. Title card, behind the brand, inside the creative room. The chat on the side was already buzzing with a few eager clients tossing in there, looking forward to this. And so excited. Messages, like they were logging into a TED Talk. I wasn't here for inspiration. I was here for evidence. The video cut to a candid office montage, slow pans across desks, people pretending to laugh at Slack messages, stock music that tried a little too hard to be quirky. I watched closely, looking for Cara. Nothing yet. Then came the B-roll from a recent creative retreat. And just like that, there she was. My wife, Cara, sitting on a hotel patio, laughing at something off camera, holding a mimosa like it was an Oscar. The caption at the bottom read, Creative Strategy Lead Cara M. Wait a minute, I said out loud, like a dumb sitcom dad. Creative Strategy Lead? That wasn't her title. Not last I checked. The video kept rolling. Cut to a scene in a hotel conference room, Cara giving a presentation in front of a whiteboard, wearing a blazer I'd never seen before. She was pointing at a chart while a group of people nodded like she was explaining the cure for boredom. Then the camera panned wide to show the audience. And that's when I saw him. Rich. Sitting in the front row, legs crossed, grinning like the king of mediocrity. And just behind him, resting casually against the back wall, was a coat rack with a very familiar jacket, one I'd seen hanging in our closet just last month. Her jacket. Worn at home. Old and comfy, she said. Apparently it was comfy enough for a business trip. I took a deep breath and leaned back. Part of me wanted to scream. The smarter part of me wanted more. More detail. More angles. More ammunition. Because while this was suspicious, it wasn't yet undeniable. Then came the kicker. The video transitioned to candid testimonials. Employees giving interviews about the company culture. And sure enough, Cara showed up again, only this time she wasn't alone. She was seated next to Rich. I think what makes our team special, she said, smiling sideways at him, is how much trust and support we have. It really feels like a second home. Or second family, Rich added, resting his hand too gently, on her shoulder. For just a second. Barely noticeable. Unless, of course, you were looking for it. Which I was. Chat reactions ranged from love this to what a great culture. And I had to laugh. Yeah. Real supportive. Real homie. I hit pause, rewound the footage, and took a screenshot right at the hand touch moment. Saved it to a folder I titled Wine Club Subtle, I know. I took another screenshot of the jacket. Another of her new fake title. This wasn't just cheating. This was performance art. Then I noticed something else. During one of the shots, they showed an itinerary in the background, stuck to a wall during the retreat. I zoomed in. Blurry, but readable. Location, Sonoma Valley. Cara told me her trip was in Westwood, which, fun fact, is not remotely close to Sonoma. Not even on the same side of believable. So she lied about the trip. Lied about the title. Lied about the wine. And yet here she was, smiling for the cameras like a proud politician's wife, while her handsy boss played the cool executive next to her. It wasn't just an affair. It was branding. At that point, the live stream moved on to other employees, and I stopped caring. I had what I needed, but I wasn't done. See, a normal guy might confront her. Throw the screenshots at her like some amateur detective, demand answers, cry a little. But me? I'd gone past anger. I'd been simmering for weeks. And now I was cold, focused, and best of all, invited. Remember that barbecue? Turns out the firm was planning another event, this time a client appreciation party, one of those fake fancy mixers with live music and tapas and name tags. Cara had RSVP'd +1. Guess who the +1 was? Yup, me. The invitation hit our inbox the same day. She hadn't mentioned it to me yet, probably waiting to see how things played out. I decided to beat her to it. That night, I printed the screenshots. All of them. Cropped, color-corrected, captioned. Then I got a little creative. Made a fake client presentation, a PowerPoint file titled Strategic Influence, How to Leverage Trust in Modern Marketing, and embedded the images in the middle slides. Then I backed it all up on a sleek black USB stick and labeled it Media Assets May. Guess who I planned to hand it to? Not Cara. Not Rich. Her boss's wife. I'd done a little digging. Turns out Rich wasn't as single as he acted. His wife, Mary Ann, was listed as a silent partner in the firm, and more importantly, she'd be at the party. I even found a photo of her on the company's investor page. Tastefully dressed, smart eyes, no-nonsense vibe. She looked like someone who didn't take kindly to being made a fool. I couldn't wait to meet her. The next few days were a masterclass in patience. Cara acted like nothing was wrong. Said the trip went well. Exhausting, though, she added. Barely slept. Yeah, I bet. I smiled, nodded, made her coffee. Even massaged her shoulders once, just to keep the illusion alive. She melted like butter and told me how lucky she was to have someone so supportive. Sure, babe. So lucky. By the time Friday rolled around, I had the suit ready, the USB stick pocketed, and my game face on. Cara came out of the bedroom looking like she was attending a corporate Oscars ceremony. Black dress, curled hair, confident smirk. You clean up nice, she said. So do you, I replied. Ready to show me off to your boss again? She laughed. Behave tonight. I didn't respond. Just smiled. Because she had no idea what behaving looked like anymore. The thing about revenge is, it's not about the big blow-up. That's TV. Real revenge is logistics. Planning. Timing. A spreadsheet with just one column, and it's labeled satisfying. We pulled up to the event around 6:45 p.m. The company had rented out one of those fake chic downtown venues, all exposed brick, Edison bulbs, and cocktails that require a thesaurus. Cara was glowing. I mean glowing. Like someone had polished her ego before we left. She wore that effortless smile that says, I'm thriving and you're lucky to be near me. I hadn't seen her this happy in weeks. It was adorable, really. I almost felt bad. Almost. Inside, the place looked exactly like a marketing firm's fever dream. A branded step-and-repeat wall for selfies. Mini tacos on silver spoons. A jazz trio that looked like they were one canceled gig away from becoming Uber drivers. Cara was instantly swept into a circle of coworkers. I wandered off, drink in hand, pretending to be fascinated by the minimalist decor and exposed ductwork. Then I saw her. Marianne, Rich's wife. She stood near the sponsor display, sipping wine with a quiet kind of dignity. Early 40s, sharp jawline, silver jewelry that said, I buy my own things. She was dressed simple, black and white, not flashy, but her presence? Heavy. People gave her space. Deference. Which told me exactly what I needed to know. She wasn't just the boss's wife. She was the money. I waited for the right moment, after she finished a conversation but before she started another, then approached with my best polite smile and extended the USB drive like I was handing her a party favor. Hi. Marianne, right? I think this belongs to you. She looked at me, then at the drive. Her eyebrow arched, just one, perfectly. I'm sorry. I found it at the bar, I said. Says media assets may. Figured it was yours or the firm's. Some interesting highlights on there. She didn't blink. Didn't take it yet. Just stared at me like she was scanning for malware. So I leaned in a little. I'm Cara's husband, I whispered, just loud enough for her to hear. Thought you might want to see what your husband's been investing in, off the books. That got her attention. She took the drive like it was radioactive, turned it over in her fingers, and nodded once. Thank you. Then walked off without another word. Perfect. I slipped away before Cara noticed I was missing, grabbed another drink, and posted up near the catering station, best view of the room without being in it. That's when I spotted Cara again, mid-laugh with Rich. His hand was on her back. Not full contact, just fingertips, like he thought that made it less obvious. Cara leaned in close and whispered something into his ear that made him smirk. I'd never seen her look at me like that. Whatever. She'd look different soon. About 30 minutes later, a guy from the AV team, the same intern I met at the barbecue, bless his clueless heart, announced that they'd be running a short highlight reel of the past quarter's creative campaigns. The lights dimmed. People shuffled toward the screen. Cara grabbed my arm like we were still playing house. Oh, you'll love this, she said. I helped with the voiceover. Sure, babe. Let's hear your performance. The video started with a montage of success metrics, happy clients, rising numbers, someone shouting, we crushed Q2, like they were storming a beach. Then came the retreat footage. It was the same clips from the live stream. Cara on the hotel balcony, laughing too hard. Cara giving a presentation to a room full of people pretending to listen. Cara and Rich in their buddy-buddy testimonial. Except this time, the audio was crisper. The screen was bigger. And the silence in the room was sharp. People noticed the chemistry. You could feel it. Whispering started. One guy leaned over to another and mouthed something that looked a lot like, isn't that the boss's wife? Not about Cara, about Marianne. The real show started about 10 seconds later. Because after the original footage, the screen glitched. Just a flicker. Then a slide popped up. Strategic Influence, How to Leverage Trust in Modern Marketing. That was my title slide. Then came the first embedded image, Cara and Rich on the patio, champagne glasses clinking, his hand suspiciously low on her chair. Next slide, a still from the testimonial video, with his fingers resting on her shoulder, her smiling like a prom queen. Then the blurry itinerary in the background, Sonoma Valley, with Cara's name on the room assignments. Final slide. A freeze frame of Cara leaning into Rich at the retreat, whispering something, his eyes locked on her lips. Silence. Then murmurs. Then audible gasps. I scanned the room. Cara's smile melted like cheap lipstick in the sun. Rich turned pale, then red, then a shade of purple I didn't know skin could pull off. Marianne? Oh, she was already walking out. USB drive in hand. That woman moved like a guillotine. Cara turned to me, blinking like she'd just woken up in the middle of a fire. Did you do this? I sipped my drink. You said I should come support your work. Her jaw clenched. That was a private trip. Oh, Westwood, right? I nodded thoughtfully. Weird, I didn't know Westwood had vineyards and catered retreats. Must have missed the memo. People were staring now. Some with popcorn-level curiosity. Others with that fake sympathy face you make when your coworker gets fired in real time. Dean, she hissed, trying to keep her voice low. We'll talk about this at home. No, I think we're good, I said. Honestly, I feel caught up. And I walked away. I didn't look back, but I didn't have to. I heard Rich trying to explain something to his stunt project manager. I heard Cara's heels following me for half a second, then stopping. I heard the jazz trio awkwardly starting a new song like music would fix the scandal tornado ripping through the room. By the time I hit the parking lot, I felt lighter. Not happy. Not angry. Just done. And that felt like power. You'd think after detonating a corporate grenade in the middle of a client mixer, there'd be a moment of regret. Maybe some part of me would second-guess the whole thing. Wonder if I'd gone too far. Nope. Slept like a baby. When I woke up the next morning, Cara wasn't in bed. Not surprising, she'd been trailing me out of the event like a wet cat stuck in a storm drain. I half expected to find her on the couch, arms crossed, waiting to unload whatever performance she'd rehearsed overnight. But no, she was gone. Took her car. Left her ring on the bathroom sink. How original. I stood there brushing my teeth, staring at the little silver band like it was a participation trophy from a marriage marathon I didn't sign up for. Cool. One less thing to carry. She texted me around 10 a.m., long, dramatic paragraph with just the right amount of spacing to make it feel like poetry. The usual. I can't believe you'd humiliate me like that. You had no right. We could have handled this privately. Handled what privately? The fake work titles? The mystery wine? The part where she played brand ambassador for her married boss while I was home fixing the bathroom sink and pretending not to hear her laugh at midnight text messages? Nah. Public problem, public consequences. I didn't answer. She followed up with a "Can we talk?" a few hours later. Also no. By dinner time, she'd moved from angry to wounded. You didn't have to drag Marianne into it. Okay. First of all, Marianne dragged herself. I just pointed out the rope. Second, maybe don't whisper sweet nothings to your boss on a live stream if you're trying to keep things between us. I ordered takeout and watched the investor meeting replay 3 times, just for fun. The reaction in the chat section was gold. You could literally timestamp the moment viewers realized they were watching more than a marketing recap. 11:06 a.m. Is that the boss's wife? 11:07 a.m. Wait, is she married too? 11:08 a.m. Oh my god. And my personal favorite. 11:08 and 45 seconds a.m. This is better than Netflix. I didn't respond to Cara all weekend. She tried. Email. Text. Even called my brother, which was hilarious because he hasn't liked her since she accidentally used his toothbrush 2 Christmases ago. I finally broke radio silence Monday afternoon, not to talk, but to log into our joint bank account. And that's where things got really fun. Now, let me be clear. I'm not a financial wizard. I install countertops for a living. But I'm not stupid. I know what recurring charges look like. I know when something smells off. Like the mystery Venmo transfers to Julie_designs. $300 every other Friday. Labeled as branding help. Cute. Except I checked. Julie Designs doesn't exist. At least not as a business. Turns out it's a burner account, and the real Julie is Cara's college roommate. Currently traveling abroad in Greece, which just happens to be where Cara claimed she wanted to vacation next year. I kept digging. She'd opened a new checking account 2 months ago. Not under her maiden name. Not even in our state. But I found it, because she was dumb enough to list our home address as the billing contact. Balance? $6,231.82. A stash fund. Emergency exit cash. Probably for her and Rich once he ditched his wife. which clearly wasn't happening now. I transferred half of it out, legally, mind you. We were still married. Joint income. I had receipts. Then I did something she never expected. I hired a lawyer. Not for divorce yet. For negotiation. See, I wasn't interested in dragging this out. She wanted out? Cool. But she wasn't leaving with a clean slate and a sob story. If she wanted her dignity back, she was going to pay in silence. So we drafted a mutual separation agreement. She keeps her stuff. I keep mine. She gets her car. I keep the house. She drops any claims to spousal support. In exchange, I don't forward all the affair evidence to the firm's board of investors, or worse, her own family, who thinks she's the second coming of Michelle Obama. When she got the email from my attorney, she finally called. I answered on speaker while sanding cabinet doors. Her voice? Small. Fragile. Like she'd just realized the final act wasn't hers to write. I can't believe you're doing this. Doing what? I asked. Giving you what you want? This is so cold. I laughed. You cheated on me with your boss, Cara. You created a second phone case. You gave interviews while wearing my hoodie and pretending to be someone else. Cold as you sleeping next to me while planning your exit strategy. Silence. Then the whimper. I just needed more. More what? Wine? Compliments? Weekend retreats to wine country? I didn't ask. Instead, I said, sign the agreement, Cara. Or I send Marianne everything. Another pause. Then, you already did. I smiled. No, that was just a teaser. Click. She signed 2 days later. No drama. No drawn-out courtroom nonsense. Just an envelope in the mail with her scratchy signature and no note. I boxed up her stuff and left it on her sister's porch. Didn't even keep the ring. Pawned it and used the cash to upgrade my tool trailer. A week passed. Then 2. Things got quiet. Peaceful. Boring, even. I stopped waking up at 2 a.m. wondering if her late-night Zoom calls were actually Zooming anything. I changed the locks. Reset the Wi-Fi. Cleaned out the wine rack. And then I got the call. Blocked number. I answered out of curiosity. Dean. Female voice. Clipped. Calm. Businesslike. Speaking. This is Laura Simmons. I'm part of the board at firm name. Well. Apparently, Marianne hadn't just walked out of that party with a USB stick. She'd walked straight into the quarterly board meeting with it and lit the place on fire. Rich was suspended pending an internal review, which we both know is HR language for pack your things and delete your Slack messages. But here's the kicker. Cara? She was under review too. Not for the affair. For misuse of client travel funds. Turns out that Sonoma retreat? Never approved. Never reimbursed. And someone had been using the company card for research dinners that looked a lot like date nights. I didn't gloat. Okay, I did a little, but only to myself. By the end of the month, Cara was out of a marriage, out of a job, and out of people to blame. And I was finally free. Not happy. Not sad. Just still. Like turning off a humming fridge and realizing how loud it's been the whole time. But hey, the best part? I wasn't even done yet. There's a strange kind of calm that settles in when you've burned the bridge and watched the smoke drift away without flinching. You don't feel triumphant. You don't feel broken. You just stand there, warm and quiet, thinking, damn, should have done that sooner. 3 weeks after Cara signed the papers, I got a letter in the mail. Not an email. Not a text. An actual envelope. Handwritten address. No return label. Like she thought it might make the whole thing more heartfelt. Inside? A card. Not even a long one. Just a single sentence scribbled across the center. I hope one day you understand why I had to do it. And taped inside the card, because this woman never misses a chance for symbolism, was a pressed flower. White lily. Funny choice, considering lilies are usually sent to funerals. I stared at it for a minute, then dropped the whole thing into the trash. Didn't even rip it. Just watched it disappear under a coffee filter and some leftover pizza crust. I wasn't interested in decoding her regrets. I wasn't hunting for closure. The game was over. The scoreboard was locked. She bet everything on someone else and lost both of us. But that wasn't the twist. This is. A few days later, I was at the hardware store picking up a tile saw blade when someone tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around expecting a customer, maybe a guy needing advice on grout. Instead, I came face to face with a tall, clean-cut man in a suit that screamed boardroom money and shoes that had never touched a construction site. You Dean? He asked. I nodded. Depends. Are you a process server? He laughed. No. Name's Grant. I work with Marion Simmons. She asked me to find you. Oh? He handed me a business card, not flimsy paper stock either, the kind printed on heavy mat with embossed lettering. Real money. Real quiet power. I flipped it over. Consultant. No title. No job description. Just a phone number and an email that ended in @simscapital.com. She had a whole firm. What's this about? I asked, still skeptical. Grant smiled. Marion saw the way you handled that situation. The presentation. She's interested in talking to you. Something small at first, a little internal reporting work. She likes people who pay attention. People who think long game. I blinked. Wait, are you offering me a job? Offering you a conversation, he said. The job depends on how that goes. Now let me be clear. I'm not the type to wear a tie or sit through meetings where people use words like synergy or deliverables. But money talks. And this? This was money with taste. So I met her. Fancy lunch spot. Reservation only. The kind of place where water comes in a bottle and the bread has its own waiter. Marianne walked in 10 minutes late and owned the room without trying. Simple dress, firm handshake, zero small talk. I don't usually reach out to civilians, she said, settling into her chair. But you? You executed that, reveal, with surgical precision. You exposed 2 liabilities and protected yourself in the process. That's rare. I shrugged. Just a guy with a grudge and a USB stick. She smiled. Maybe. Or maybe someone who understands risk and leverage. We talked. Nothing formal. She asked questions about how I figured it out. How I built the timeline. How I knew when to move. I answered honestly, mostly because I still didn't understand why she was entertaining this conversation in the first place. Then she laid it out. Marianne ran a quiet little corner of her firm that specialized in internal audits and reputation protection. Translation: she cleaned house when corporate messes threatened to stink up investor portfolios. She wanted people who could read between the lines, sense the rot under the paint. You don't need to code, she said. Just need to listen and know when someone's lying. And just like that, I went from contractor to consultant. Not full-time. Not even part-time at first. Just a few gigs. Quiet work. Watching company meetings, reading travel reports, scanning reimbursement logs, then sending a short bullet list of things that don't add up. Turns out betrayal has a pattern. So does arrogance. Within 6 months, I was making more on side contracts than I was laying tile. Kept both jobs. I liked the tools in my hands. But now I had options. Security. And a boss who didn't touch my shoulder unless it was to shake my hand. Cara never knew. Last I heard, she moved out of state. Rumors floated back through old mutuals, something about a failed attempt at freelance branding, a brief rebound with some guy from a co-working space, then a move to find herself. I never bothered to verify. We didn't talk. She didn't reach out. Until one night, maybe a year later, I got an email from a burner address. No subject line. One sentence. You really think you won? I stared at it for a full 30 seconds. Then I replied. No. I know I didn't lose. Hit send. Blocked the account. Closed the laptop. The next morning, Marianne forwarded me another job. A financial officer suspected of embezzling client funds and blaming the new intern. Sloppy paper trail. Fake accounts. The usual. I got to work. Because betrayal never sleeps. And these days, neither do I. Subscribe to the channel